Welcome back to presentation on Jnana Yoga, the path of intellect or analysis. The Jnana Yoga is found in the knowledge base of India, particularly the Vedas. Most of you might have heard of this ancient text, almost 7,000 years old, and the Vedas are the treasure house of all the knowledge base. As the name indicates, Vedas comes from the word Vidagnane, treasure house of knowledge. And there are two parts to the Vedas. One is called the Puramimamsa, another is the Uttaramimamsa. Puramimamsa is the one that deals with rituals, yajnas, yagas, havanas, homas and so on. And I call this as the technology of the Vedas. Here there is complete prescription of do's and don'ts, what we should do, what we should not do, just like in a modern industry. There is only a checklist of what is to be done, what is not to be done, and you do not ask the question why I should do that. If I ask why, I will be directed into the research section, into the scientific research section. Similarly, that second part is the Uttaramimamsa. The Vedas have been preserved for such a long time without any deterioration or mutation, and that is accomplished by a very special Vedic chanting technology that was developed, which consists of repeated chanting. They are named as Pada, KRAMA, JATA and GHANA, and these are based on the principle of redundancy, repeating the things again and again. For example, in KRAMA, at least each word is chanted twice. In JATA, at least 4 times. In GHANA, it becomes 8 times. That is how the probability of error is eliminated. The second part of the Vedas is Uttaramimamsa, that is the science aspect of it. I call it the science of Vedas, and they are also called Upanishads. They are the essence of the Vedas, therefore also called Vedanta. 10 major Upanishads are most popular, have been recognized by everyone, and anybody who wants to develop a philosophy, they have to take care of these 10 major Upanishads: Isha, Kena, Katha, Mundaka, Mandukya, Aitreya, Taittiriya, Prashna, Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka. The smallest among them is Mandukya Upanishad, and the biggest is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Though it is the smallest, Mandukya is considered to be one of the most precious jewels of the Upanishads. As the tradition puts it, Ekam Mandukyameva alam. One single Upanishad, Mandukya, and Mandukya alone will do. And that is how the importance is given to this beautiful Upanishad called Mandukya. It deals with the Omkara, it deals with the 3 states of our consciousness, Jagrat, Swapna and Sushupti. Apart from the Upanishads, we have Prasthanatraya as the trifold streams of knowledge which forms the foundation of our Indian wisdom. The whole of our knowledge base is contained in these trifold streams, consisting of Shruti Prasthana, that is the Upanishads. That means Shruti means directly revealed. You get all the knowledge directly revealed. Then that information which is in the Upanishads have been compiled, edited, put in the proper language, and that is called the Smriti Prasthana. Smriti means retold, compiled, edited. And the example is the Bhagavad Gita, the Manusmriti, Yagnavalkya Smriti, many Smritis. Then the third is Nyaya Prasthana, and the Nyaya Prasthana puts the whole thing into a logical framework, and using the logic of highest order harmonizes all that has been told in the Upanishads. Before one studies Brahma Sutras, the Nyaya Prasthana, one should be familiar with all the Upanishads and the tenets, because in Brahma Sutra it goes back and forth and quotes from this end to the other end and bringing the harmonization and the connecting link. Any system will stand the test of time only when it has been built into very strong logical framework, and that is what the Brahma Sutra does, or the Nyaya Prasthana does. Therefore, we have Shruti Prasthana, the Upanishads directly revealed, the Smriti Prasthana, the retold, compiled, the Bhagavad Gita, and Nyaya Prasthana, the Brahma Sutras, the aphorisms on the Brahma Vidya, that is the Adhyatma Vidya. Then what is the subject matter of the Prasthanatraya? Two main subjects: search for reality and quest for happiness. That is there a fundamental reality behind this diverse universe, and what is meant by happiness and understanding? These are the two main subjects. The style of the Upanishads is very unique, and it is in the form of teacher-student interactions. The student comes and asks the questions, and question and answers are fully encouraged. The teacher would love to have questions, and that is the tradition of the Upanishads as in modern science. And in fact, the teacher would judge the students' level through their questions. What is the type of question they ask? Depending on that, the teacher is able to grasp the level of the student, the growth of the student. And what type of questions are asked? Very deep questions are asked, very fundamental questions are asked, very comprehensive questions are asked, and it is so bewildering to see that. In one place, the question that is asked is like this: Kintum vignatum sarvam vignatam bhavati iti. O teacher, please let me know, by knowing which I will know everything in the universe. Already I have known many Vidyas, many Shastras I have read, 64 Vidyas I have mastered, but now I am not yet satisfied. I want to know that Vidya, that education, by knowing which there remains nothing else to be known, by knowing which I will know everything. What a bewildering question, what a fundamental question. And the teacher also is very happy, and he says, okay, dve vidye veditavye parachaiva aparacha. Two types of vidyas exist. One is the apara vidya, another is the para vidya. What all you have learnt essentially is apara vidya. Apara is the secular education, and then what is that para vidya? What is that apara vidya? Normally we think it could be the modern knowledge, economics, business, history, geography, science, and we think that this should be apara vidya, the secular knowledge, and Upanishad should be really the para vidya. But look at what it says. The teacher in the Mundaka Upanishad says, Tatra aparaha, following are the apara vidyas, Rugvedo, Yajurvedas, Samavedo, Atharva Vedaha. It puts all the four Vedas, the Vedas containing the Upanishads, Upanishads themselves telling that Upanishads are apara vidya, and Shiksha kalpo vyakaranam tiruktam chando jyotishamiti, all the supporting documents to the Vedas, all that put as apara vidya, the secular knowledge. What is it? What is this? What is this? How can this be? Upanishads which talks about the divine knowledge, Upanishad that talks about the spiritual wisdom, how can you call that as apara vidya? See, what is the definition of para vidya? Tatra paraha yaya tadaksharam adhigamyate. By actual process by which you go to that source, that swarupa, that your original state, that is really the para vidya. All that is contained in the Vedas are the book knowledge, and you may read that, you may grasp that, you may be able to repeat that from one end to another end, and that is all still the intellectual knowledge. It is scholasticism, it is the necessary knowledge, but at the same time a person might not have started his journey at all. I had one of my friends here in the railway station, he is a brilliant clerk, and anybody who goes, he will be able to tell exactly what train leaves at what time, and what are the various ways by which you can go to Delhi, you can go to Patna, you can go to various places with such precision and accuracy. Everything was in fingertips, but this fellow had never gone out of Bangalore at all. Similarly, a person may be very well versed with all the knowledge base given in the Vedas, Upanishads, but the person might not have sat closing his eyes and looking inwards, examining himself and going deeper and deeper, would not have happened at all. That is the distinction. One is theory, another the practice. So, practice is considered to be the Paravidya, and that is how the student's question was replied. Sometimes very fundamental questions are asked. In Prashna Upanishad, the student comes and asks, "Sir, please let me know what is prana, from where the prana comes, what are its ramifications. Kutayesha prano jayate kathamayātyasmin sharire atmanam va pravibhajya katham pratisthate kenotkamate katham bāhyam abhidhatte katham adhyatmamiti." Please tell me, sir, how that prana originates and how does it manifest inside, manifest outside. Well, the teacher is so thrilled. Hey, what a question you have asked, the question of questions. Even to understand what is prana, it is so difficult. Now we are asking from where the prana has come. Adiprashnan prachasi brahmishtosi tasmat teham bravimi. You are such a great elevated personality. To ask this question is no simple thing. Therefore, I considered you to be almost a brahmishta, a person who is an accomplished person, who is almost a realized person. And now I am going to answer. Such is the set of questions that have been asked, and the students, when they ask such questions, the teacher judges the level of the students with the questions. But sometimes the students are tested when they ask the question whether really they understand, and they try to divert them. Here is another example from Kathopanishad. Nachiketa, the young boy, has gone to the Lord of Death, Yama, and he wants to know the secret of death. He says, some people say that when this body dies, everything is gone, nothing else remains. But some people say, no, when this body dies, still you remain. Please let me know what is true. Yeyam prete vichikitsa manushye astityeke nayam astiti chaike etad vidyam anushishtastvayaham varana vesha varastrutiyaha. That is the third boon Nachiketa asked from Yama. And the Lord of Death, Yama, says, hey, why are you asking this question? And this question even the gods and goddesses could not understand, they could not get the answer, and why are you bothered about this question? And instead of that, ask the big boons, that you want to become a kingdom, you want to have a big kingdom, you want to rule over that, and ask for all the comforts and wealth I am going to give you. And if you don't want that alone, then you can ask all those things that are available in the heaven, that also I am going to give you. And why are you bothered about this question? Ye ye kama durlabha martya loke sarvan kaman chandata prarthayasva imarama sarata saturyaha nahi drushalambhaniya manushyayi. Please ask anything that you want, but not this question. Then what is the answer of Nachiketa? Nachiketa says, well, you are telling that gods and goddesses also have not been able to give an answer to this question. Then I am assured now I have come to the right person to get the answer. And now you are telling that ask any other question. And please tell me, when you give all the wealth and comforts, when you give me the kingship, when you give all the material possessions, will I be completely happy? Will I be eternally blissful? Will there not be any misery at all? No, impossible. According to me, all the comfort objects that you give, all the affluence and wealth that you can offer, all types of sense pleasures that you are able to give me as a boon will not satisfy, will not quench my thirst. It will only increase my desires. The desires will turn themselves into greed. Not only that, as I start enjoying, as my senses start interacting with the sense objects, goes on and on, all my senses start getting deteriorated. Sarvendriyanam jarayanti tejaha api salpam jivitamalpameva. Even if you give 100 years, 200 years as my age, all that age will become very, very small for me. That is the secret that I have understood. So please, please, if you are going to give me the boon, give me an answer to my question. That is how Yama, the teacher, tests his student to the utmost, giving him all other incentives to distract him from the main question. And once he knows that Nachiketa is very serious and he is the right eligible student, then he starts unraveling the mystery. Such are the bewildering questions and wonderful questions that are talked about. And then how does the teacher make the students get the answer? He will not simply tell the answer. He will say, please go and investigate, and he will make the students investigate themselves to find the answers. So it is experimental in nature. So when the Bhrigu went to Varuna and asked, please tell me what is Brahman, what did he say? He said, tapasa brahma vijignasasva tapo brahmeti. Please go and do tapas, do the experiment, find for yourself what is Brahman. But he gives a hint as to how to do the experiment. Be careful, find out a principle in you because of which we are all born. It is the same entity which sustains us, and it is into this same entity we all go back. That is the secret he gives. Yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti yat prayanti avisam vishanti tad vijignasasva tad brahmeti. Giving that hint as to how to do the experiment, he sent back, and the student start doing the tapas, start doing the experiment. This is the spirit. And the teacher has humility, he has that openness, he has got tremendous knowledge, but still his aspiration is to create students, and students who would excel himself in both theory and experience. A teacher will say, yes, I have created a student who is better than me. That is the aspiration of every teacher. The teacher would have complete openness, and whenever he does not have an answer, he would love to learn more. The teacher would have that aspiration to learn more and more and more and more. In fact, if he does not know an answer, if he cannot answer his student, then he will go in search of that answer to the questions posed by the students. It happened that there was a big king, and he comes and tells, sir, please let me know what is the 16-layered, 16-dimensioned personality. Shodashakalam Bharadwaja Purusham Vetha. O great Guru Bharadwaja, please let me know what is that Shodashakara Purusha. Then the teacher says, well, my dear, I really don't know. I really don't know who is this 16-dimensioned Purusha that you are talking about. Had I known about it, I would have certainly been the first man to teach you. Therefore, come on, let both of us go to another teacher to understand what is that Shodashakala and who is that person who has the Shodashakala. Both of them go to another teacher called Pippalada and learn the secret of the 16-dimension existence of all of us. And that is the spirit. The spirit of the Upanishads, the spirit of the teachers, the spirit of the Gurus have been immaculate. And thus, we see that the methodology of the Upanishads and the methodology of modern science match in many, many respects. It is experimental in nature, it is questioning and questioning, it is trying to search the reality, it is through investigation that you start growing. Having an open mind, going with an open mind, with no obsessions, with no likes and dislikes, whatever is the answer that I get through the experiment, I am going to accept. That is the spirit, that is the scientific openness. It is same in the Upanishads. The goals of therefore modern science and Upanishads match in search for reality. Both modern science and Upanishads have the same goal, that is, what is reality. But then Upanishads had one more, that is to deal with happiness. What is happiness? As its second goal. Therefore, it becomes more relevant to modern times, it becomes more relevant to the society, because we want to create a society of harmony and happiness. Happiness spread everywhere, people should be very happy, blissful, healthy and harmonious. That can happen only when we understand happiness in its totality, and that is why the happiness also has been given maximum prominence. And we have seen coincidentally that both these things reach the same goal, whether we investigated bliss or investigated the reality, both of them came to the same point, that it is pure consciousness, bliss is silence, and it is from this pure consciousness that the whole world has emerged. When you look at modern science, the modern science investigated the world outside, the physical world, but the Upanishads investigated inside. That is the main difference. Though there is experimental in nature, the modern science used external laboratories, while the Upanishads used its internal lab, that is the mind. The mind that we all have been endowed with was used as the internal lab to investigate. Use the buddhi, use the mind to get that. And the modern science has completed the investigations of the physical world. It has understood everything about the physical world. It knows that this whole physical universe is nothing but energy. Precisely we can calculate how much of energy is contained in given matter, and we also know the laws that govern them. But now science is going further from the physical to understand the subtler world, to understand what is prana, to understand what is mind, and so on. While the Upanishads completed the search fully thousands of years back. The Upanishads understood the whole creation, and not merely the physical world, but the whole creation. And it says, it starts with the physical body, and the student unravels the mystery that I am the physical body, Annamaya Kosha. From there I go to the next Pranamaya, Manomaya, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and finally the Anandamaya Kosha. It is the unraveling. And not only the substance with which these koshas are made has been understood. For example, the Pranamaya Kosha has been made out of the substance called prana, Manomaya Kosha made out of the manas, Vijnanamaya Kosha is made out of buddhi, and Anandamaya Kosha is made out of ananda. And they are all different layers of consciousness, and the laws that govern them also have been understood, and that is the beauty of the Upanishads. Thousands and thousands of years back, all this knowledge base was understood, where we did not have such sophisticated external labs as we have today. We did not have the microbiology lab, nor did we have the immune lab, nor did we have the physiology lab, nor the immaculate DNA, RNA structures being understood. We did not have the mathematical tools as we have today, but our seers were able to use that internal lab of mind and intellect, and beyond that called intuition, to go deeper and deeper to get all the details in perfection. What modern science has achieved, much more was achieved through the Upanishads. And that gives us a broad glimpse of the Upanishads, and advanced Jnana Yoga is what we have been trying to understand. The advanced Jnana Yoga is to work in a very, very special way, all the time tuned to that inner Jnana Sthiti. Inner Jnana Sthiti is the state of Ananda, attuned to that Anandamaya Kosha, attuned to that blissful awareness, do all activities without forgetting ourselves, without losing the awareness. We have to go on doing every activity that is come on us with no iota of selfishness whatsoever, with no preferences and strong likes and dislikes of ourselves, having no ego whatsoever. It is done as if we are just instruments in the hands of the divine, all the time tuned to the cosmic reality, tuned to the cosmic laws, and performing every action as is to be performed to establish the dharma. And that is the personality. In this level of attunement to the divine, there is tremendous amount of freedom. They are the greatest of powers, power even to create the whole universe, and it is a state of total silence, not a shunya but a purna, and there is immaculate bliss and complete knowledge. Knowledge of the past, present and future available here, and with all that power, bliss, knowledge and freedom, the person stays here as the highest model of existence, and he may create a world, he may destroy a world, but no sin or no punya accrues. The master, the mind is in silence even in action, and such a person, even though he is immersed in action, he does nothing. Karmani abhipravruttaha api naiva kinchit karoti saha. When he is in the Jnana Sthiti, even though he is creating, it is equivalent to not creating. Even though he is destroying the whole universe, it is equivalent to not destroying, and whatever he does is equivalent to doing nothing. How can we understand this? There is a millionaire, a billionaire with all the riches and wealth, and if $1 million he gains, it makes no difference. $1 million he loses, it makes no difference for him, because the person is so full of riches, he is infinite. So, if you remove one small infinity from a big infinity, the big infinity does not change. In the same way here, he has such vast amount of power, bliss and knowledge that any activity will not deter him from his existence, and he is like a vast ocean, and the rivers may enter in and nothing is going to happen. When a person reaches this height of achievement, what happens to him at the time of death? On the deathbed, Krishna describes, Om ityekaksharam brahma vyaharan mamanusmaran yah prayati tyajan deham sayati paramangatim. Said, when a person leaves his body, and while he leaving the body, what is his state? His mind is in absolute peace, and there is continuous remembrance of the syllable Om. Om is the symbol of ultimate reality. As Patanjali says, Tasya Vachaka Pranavaha. As the Mundaka Upanishad says, Om ityetadaksharamidam. It is that akshara, that vast, infinite, pure consciousness is symbolized by the Om, and therefore he resorts to the repetition of Om when he comes on to the deathbed. His mission is over, all his work is complete, and his body is about to leave, and at that time what is he doing? Vyaharan Om iti mam anusmaran. All the time he goes on remembering and remembering that infinite consciousness. He is fully aware of his original state of consciousness, the pure Brahman, and at that level he leaves this body. How does he leave the body? With complete voluntary mastery he does. And normally two types of leaving the body has been talked about, has been demonstrated by the great Jnanis of this order. Number one, in which the person would leave the physical body and then he will go to the Pranamaya Kosha, he will leave the Pranamaya Kosha, then he goes to Manomaya Kosha, he detaches himself from the Manomaya Kosha, and then Vijnanamaya Kosha, he comes to the Anandamaya Kosha, even the Anandamaya Kosha he leaves and merges with the totality. This is one way by which they leave the physical body. We had the great example of Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda, the time had come and he knows that I have now called back home, and he says that I have completed all my work. On that evening he served all his brother disciples, sannyasis who have been working for the great mission of Ramakrishna mission, and he says that today is the last day, having served them with lot of love and affection. He also partakes the prasad and now sits in meditation and slowly pulls out the prana, that is the udana, from the physical body and goes into the pranamaya kosha, and the body no more lives, the body is dead. This is one way by which they leave the body voluntarily, go from the annamaya kosha to pranamaya kosha, then move over to manomaya, vijnana, anandamaya koshas and merge with the totality ultimately. We had another great example of a great bhakta, Gondavali Maharaj. Gondavali Maharaj had his satsangs attracting thousands and thousands of people. I remember that particular day when he had completed his satsang and he served a lot of people with his own hand, with a service attitude. Now he goes on repeating the Ram Nam, Ram, 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 goes on repeating and voluntarily pulls himself out from the physical body. Normally it is through the Sahasrara, the Udana takes the prana away from the physical body and the umbilical cord is cut and the physical body just left behind and it will go back to the ashes. This is one mode by which people leave the physical body voluntarily. There is no panic, there is no fear, there is no losing of awareness. They do not become unconscious as it happens to most of us. What happens to all the common people? As common people we are, at the time of death comes, the control over all the body goes away. We lose controls one by one and we just become terrified and we don't want to leave this world, but still we have no other choice, and there is a big pull inside which is trying to take us away, but we are struggling hard to live here, and that is the turmoil, that is the war, and that is the fear, and finally the inner pulls take away us from the physical body and we lose our consciousness. Do we have an example? Do we have an experience of this? Yes, every day when we go to sleep, this is what happens. Every day you are lying down on the bed after a strenuous day's work. Now close your eyes and in minutes you just become unconscious. From the wakeful phase you jump to the sushupti, the deep sleep phase, and you are lost. You don't know what has happened. Maybe you may get up next morning or you may not, and you are dead to the wakeful world for the time being. Same thing happens there for the normal people when the person is incapacitated, losing all the control and everything, and the person just is pulled out of the body. While there is another way by which the great masters, the jnanis, leave this body, that is by diffusion of the body into its subtler layers one by one. The Annamaya kosha simply diffuses into the Pranamaya kosha and it simply vanishes. From the Pranamaya it expands itself into the Manomaya kosha, from the Manomaya kosha to the Vijnanamaya kosha, Vijnanamaya kosha to that all pervasive Anandamaya kosha, and finally the Anandamaya kosha merges with eternity, with that pure consciousness, Atman or Brahman. This is the whole journey. This is yet another way by which the masters, the jnanis, diffuse their body one by one, one by one. Where the great Advaitic master Shankaracharya, who knows that his work is over, in front of all the disciples, now he says, okay, I am retreating myself into my abode, my real pure consciousness from here. As his body started moving into a small cave, people started seeing a glow around the body, and the physical body simply vanished into that glow, and the glow merged with the infinite. That's what happened. This is what Sri Aurobindo was trying to do. The great yoga master Sri Aurobindo, who developed the integral yoga, his objective was to divinize this physical body by probably the supramental consciousness descending down and divinizing each and every cell in the body, and his intense meditation and the retreated sadhana for years and years and years. In the later years, when the time of death came, he knew that he had not accomplished fully the process of divinization. He told his disciples and the colleagues, I have been only able to partially divinize my body, and the task of divinization is not complete. He left the task to mother, to further it. What is the proof that partially it was divinized? When he died, his body was with a beautiful glow around the body, and it did not putrefy for 3 full days. Normally when we all die, probably in hours, the whole body gets putrefied and starts smelling, and that is what happens to the common people who undergo the normal death. But here the whole body was glowing and the body did not putrefy. This is how we can say that he had partially divinized his body. And we had yet another example of the great yoga master Paramahamsa Yogananda in the Self-Realization Fellowship in the United States, who when he died, his body did not putrefy for 15 days. He had divinized his body to much deeper levels. We had such many masters around our globe, and particularly in India, we had large number of such accomplished masters, the jnanis, the siddhas, and every state in our country excelled with such great personalities. It was Shankaracharya from Kerala, it was Swami Narayan from Gujarat, it was Sant Gnandev from Maharashtra, it was Sadashiva Brahmendra, who lived only a few years back, hardly a century back in Tamil Nadu, and many siddhas like Ramalingam Mahaswamigal. In Karnataka we had Raghavendra Mahaswamigal, and such people simply they came and they said, we are going to leave, the whole body diffuses, and it is the process of vanishing of the physical body. What happens there? Each and every of the Panchabhutas will go back to their Tanmatras, that is the subtle form of their existence, and they go and become the Pranamaya Kosha. From there they reach very, very subtle astral level, becomes Manas, the astral body, and from Manomaya Kosha it goes into the Vijnanamaya Kosha, which is featured by expansion and power and bliss, and then it goes into the Anandamaya Kosha, finally merging with the ultimate, that all pervasive, immense, pure consciousness. And that is the way that the great yoga masters, the Jnanis, leave their body. Now, all these things a person can start achieving only when he has complete commitment. Commitment is prime love in life. This is a necessity for Jnana. This is a necessity for realization. That is what Krishna says in the next verse. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparasayatendriyaha jnanam labdhva param shantim achirenadhigacchati. Having obtained the knowledge, he goes promptly to the peace supreme, he says. When the man of Shraddha, the devoted, the master of his senses, obtains the knowledge, he gets into this highest level. A very special word is used here, that is Shraddha. Shraddha is a beautiful word in Sanskrit which has no equivalent translation in English. It has got a combination of several great qualities, that there is great respect in the person for others, there is commitment to the task that he has taken, commitment to achieve the end, and there is complete sincerity. And when these three things are combined, then it will bring the Jnana, it will bring the realization, it will bring that knowledge base that we are that infinite Atman, we are that infinite Brahman, we are not just this body, we are not the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya Koshas, and we are that all pervasive reality. The Jnana in turn brings total mastery over the senses, it says, and it leads one to total silence, total transcendence, that is called moksha sthiti. Therefore, it is the Shraddha, it is the commitment that is most important. And when a person starts working, he has become a yoga master, he has become a great Jnani, he has been in the state of immense awareness of the totality, and that is the state called Brahmi Sthiti. Esha Brahmi Sthiti Partha Nainam Prapya Vimuhyati Sthitva Syamantakalepi Brahma Nirvanam Ruchyati. Said a person, O Partha, O Arjuna, that is the state of Brahman. Attaining this, none is bewildered, and being established in it, even at the death hour, a man gets into openness with Brahman, he becomes one with the Brahman, and he merges with Brahman. That is what we are told. This is a state of complete mastery, a state of highest level of achievement, total attunement to the ultimate, and becoming one with the ultimate of death of the body is called Videha Mukti, and that state is called Brahma Nirvanam. The new word that Krishna uses to moksha is Brahma Nirvana. Nirvana is the term that Buddha uses, and here it is called Brahma Nirvana. Differentiating that, we have the three stages of mergers. The Nirvana that is used by Buddha, he did not categorically say it is Shunya, but his disciples interpreted that as Shunya, vacuum. Patanjali called it as Kaivalya, he called it also Swarupa, Tada Drashtuhu Swarupi Avasthanam, he said, and that is called as Moksha in the Vedanta, in the Upanishads. The new term that he is using is Brahma Nirvana, saying that it is fullness, it is infinite, it is all pervasive, it is unborn, it has no death, it has no beginning, it has no end. That is called the Nirupadhika Brahma, that is the attributeless Brahman, the reality of the pure consciousness, it is the infinite thing. And that is the backdrop on which all the creation comes, and that is the changing world, that is the dynamic creation called Sopadhika Brahma. Brahma with attributes. Upadhi is an adjunct, Upadhi is the attributes, Upadhi are the adjectives, and they all come into the creation, and they are in the form of the three gunas, and they form the whole world and creation. And that gives the whole glimpse of Jnana Yoga. With the schematic, we can again refresh our memories that we start our journey with Shravana, hearing a lecture or reading a book or watching a video. Then you start thinking about it, you start questioning that. With the brilliance of the intellect, you ask the most fundamental question there, and when you get logically somewhat convinced, then you go over to the next level called Nididhyasana, that is meditation. That is meditation of Vedanta called contemplation, in which you dwell on the truths that you are contemplating. That logically you are convinced, you go on dwelling on that again and again for longer and longer and longer duration, and that is called Nididhyasana. And with that process, you get into the Jnana called realization, and you are totally convinced through an experience, through an explosion inside, that I am that infinite, I am that all pervasive, I am that blissful entity, and that Jnana has to be stabilized, and that is the next phase called the Jivan Mukti. Then for longer and longer time, staying in that awareness and living a life of immense inner bliss and silence, a person becomes a Jivan Mukta. Jivan eva Muktaha, that is free even as a person is alive. And then he fathoms the higher and higher levels, Pranamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, Anandamaya Kosha. He goes deeper and deeper to deeper and deeper layers of silence, deeper and deeper layers of existence, one deeper than the other, featured by higher bliss, higher knowledge, higher power, and the higher bliss. When he goes on doing that, he reaches higher and higher stage. The bliss becomes absolutely fantastic, unbelievable, and that in that blissful stage of awareness, he leaves his body voluntarily with no compulsion whatsoever, with complete mastery. Then it is the Videha Mukti, it is merger with the totality, the moksha or the Brahma Nirvana that we saw. And that is the whole of the essence of the Bhagavad Gita, and the Jnana Yoga gives us a complete dimension as to how we start and what are the milestones of progress and how you end in the totality. Let me end with a particular incident that took place here in Prashanti Kutiram. There was a person from France who was ambassador of France to England. He was living in London. He came here for a short visit. When he came here, he heard the lectures about the happiness. He heard that happiness is silence, and our appeal to examine with an open mind, to experience whether really happiness is silence. And he came and asked, "Sir, can I stay one more day?" I said, "Fine, please go ahead." And then he stayed for the third day and the fourth day and the fifth day, went on and on. For 2 full weeks he stayed here, and he was going out with a big smile on the face, with tremendous happiness inside his heart, and he was so grateful to Prashanti Kutiram for giving such an opportunity for him. And one of the VIPs asked him, "Why you have come here for a short visit? How is it that you stayed so long for 2 weeks? You are such a busy person, you are an ambassador. How can you afford to stay such a long time?" And the person says, "Look here, the greatest attraction for me was that rock. That rock is often called as Swati rock. That is at the south-western corner of Prashanti Kutiram, nearly 100-acre campus. I loved that rock, and it is this rock that kept me going for all these days." So the visitor asked him to explain, have you not seen rocks? What are you talking about? How can a rock attract you here? Says, no. After hearing the lecture, the message of the Upanishads, the message of the Jnana Yoga, that happiness is nothing but silence. I want to test it out. Every morning, every afternoon, every evening, I want to go there, and he was sitting there. What is the speciality of the rock? When you sit on that rock, down below is a deep valley, probably 200-300 feet deep, and you can see the vast infinite horizon. The whole sky is like a bowl. When you sit there on that rock, it's a wonderful expansive view that you get there. And he would sit there from morning almost 6:30 to 8:30, 9 o'clock, come and have a little breakfast, and again go and sit until the sun rises to its heat, and then come back, take a little rest, again in the afternoon, again in the evening. He would spend hours and hours sitting there, watching and tuning himself to that infinite expanse of the sky. And he said that I started getting tremendous inner happiness and bliss. And it is this bliss, it is this happiness, it is this inner expansion and explosion inside that gave me tremendous amount of happiness. He said, fortunately I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I was rich embodied right from my childhood, and I have a beautiful wife, and she is a big dancer of Paris, and I was deputed to London. You could imagine how much of sense pleasures I would have enjoyed. There is nothing that I have not tried out, and in this I got wonderful happiness in my life. I got great bliss in my life. But the amount of happiness that I got here, the amount of bliss that I experienced here is immaculate. It is uncomparable. It is 10,000 times more than the best of the happiness that I ever got, and that has completely changed me. I got a new vision of what is happiness. All the time until now I was searching for happiness outside in the world, and still there was a big vacuum inside. Something was missing. I was not happy. I was worried, and there was an agony inside. In spite of all the riches, affluence and wealth and the paraphernalia and my wife and children and the family, I still was not satisfied. I was not happy in my core. But today, after having done these 15 days of my intense sadhana, now I have been totally happy, satisfied, and I have learned the greatest secret. The secret is immaculate, and it is the secret of all secrets. And that is what I appeal to all of you. Please do the experiment and go to the very basis of our thoughts, find out the source from where the thoughts emerge, and how that is a state of immense bliss. It is a state of immense knowledge, it is a state of all pervasive existence, and it is into this original state of ours we all have to go back. That is pure consciousness. Call it Atman, call it Brahman, call it Nirvana, call it Kaivalya, call it Moksha, whatever term you use, that is our original home. That is the happy home that we have to return. And our forgetfulness, our Jnana, our ignorance has to be removed with this light of Jnana. And that is why Krishna said that this power of Jnana, this light of Jnana can remove all darkness, and even the worst of the sinners, worst of the murderers will have a grand day of tremendous hope and achievement. Thank you.